These days, the good, the bad, and the ugly surrounding AI or artificial intelligence is being discussed. How about AI and the law? We are getting our show's sponsor take on that subject. The law offices of Anidjar and Levine accident attorneys Marc Anidjar, senior partner and attorney, and Jovanni Fiallo, senior associate attorney, is back with us.
How are you? Good to see you again.
This is a hot topic.
It's interesting. It's a changing world. You know, when we first got the internet, right, that was the hugest change in the world. You could just get on there, search something, and then the information miraculously came up in front of you.
Yeah.
Now we're asking computers to take it a step further, to look at all that information that's available on the web, digest it, and formulate a paragraph or a synopsis on our behalf so we don't even have to think about it. And the dangers in using that in the law have been, slowly coming out, in the sense that it's capturing information off the web, but it doesn't know whether or not the information is accurate or correct or even real for that matter. Think about the web, how many false news stories are published on a daily basis, and you're supposed to discern from truth and facts, right? So that's the reality of the dangers of AI. It is something that's going to be here to stay. I think it's going to be used in an integral way to summarize information for us, but we can never take out the human element that has to go through that information and verify all that information to be accurate and correct before you utilize it.
Oh, believe me, I understand what you're saying. I mean, when it comes to news sources, I mean, we know that's all been a thing because of the fake news that has went around. And so I think that this is really hitting home, something I hadn't thought of yet. And I like hearing you talk about the personal side of it and how you still need that when it comes to being a lawyer and representing someone. And I want to get your take on this because that's something that you guys pride yourself in, regardless of if we're talking about AI or any of the other subjects we've covered before.
Yeah, I mean, you look at AI, you look at it, it's a machine and whatnot, and like Marc said, you lose that human touch, right? You lose the experience that we have. You lose the instincts. You can look at numbers and say, yeah, this all goes in a line and that's fine, but when you have the instincts and the experience and you've been through this, maybe you don't have to go in a straight line. Maybe I can deviate here and I can make your case better that way. Or maybe I know the law a little bit better because the computer's just digesting what it finds on the internet, but I've seen this, I've read it, I've briefed it, I've argued it. So my experience is a little bit better, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And putting things into context. When you're speaking to somebody, you can tell when they're nervous, when they're scared, when they're angry, when they're happy. In text, you're not going to see that, right? So if I'm scouring a deposition with AI, I can't tell the vocal inflection. I can't tell whether the person was anxious. Were they looking away at the time when they were talking to me? So I could tell that they're probably not telling the truth and probe a little deeper. There was a situation where an attorney utilized ChatGPT to file a motion in front of a judge, and the case law that it cited wasn't even real. It completely fabricated the case law. And we mentioned, at the start of this, that there was the thing called The Onion back in the day. It was like a newspaper that was meant to be a joke. The AI would not know that that newspaper wasn't a valid news source and may interpret information from there and incorporate it as fact without verifying it.
Well, and that's what you and I were even talking about, how it would be able to know even like the case numbers that we see. Like we see something written and we know, oh, that's a case. We know what that kind of means, just even with my far from legal mind that I have. And that's where we are getting into an interesting world. And you say that, I know you're not trying to, speak ill of anybody, but there are attorneys out there who are using it and trying to, lessen their workload with this.
And we're utilizing it where it's effective as well.
Yeah.
But we always require that two people are reviewing everything provided, and we're actually feeding the information to it that we wanted to process. We're not letting it randomly choose the documents. So I think this technology is going to evolve. And as they see the mistakes that transpire, they're going to make corrections to make it better. So, luckily as a society, as a race, a human race, we're pretty good at figuring things out. So that will get better with time, because what we'll do is we'll be able to take the AI technology and force the data that we wanted to review and limit it to just that data. So that will put out better information because you won't get that false, but it will still require that person to research the information, put the data in there, and summarize in a way that makes sense.
And that's what I still like hearing, that the human side of it is still needed. Do you think, in closing, before we share your contact information, that we are going to get to a place where when you do talk with an attorney, especially during the free consultation that I know you gentlemen offer, that you will be asking, how much do you use AI? It'll be interesting,
I think you're going to see intake departments convert to AI. So it's getting scary in terms of how far it's going to go. And then every attorney is going to have their own comfort level, based on what area of law they practice to what extent they want to allow that to happen.
Interesting. Again, things are always changing, right, guys? Well, the one thing that doesn't change is that you can go ahead and give Anidjar and Levine a call for that free consultation that I already touched on. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.